Hey guys, it's David. Welcome back to another video. This is like the 80th take that I've put of this intro, and I'm done. I'm just done filming this intro. But I wanted to do something a little different from what I've been posting lately on my channel. I wanted to talk about a game that I've really been enjoying lately. Came out on the 22nd. It's been releasing every single Wednesday in episodes. Dispatch.
What's your name, little guy?
My name's Beef and I'm naked.
Oh,
Dispatch is a narrative-driven superhero workplace comedy from Ad Hoc Studios, similar to titles like The Wolf Among Us and the Walking Dead Telltale series. The Wolf Among Us was actually worked on by Ad Hoc, so this is a sort of gameplay style that they are really familiar with, that they were able to build upon. You join Robert Robertson, a superhero put into an unexpected role, and is now forced to manage a team of ex-villains at his office job, trying to turn them into actual heroes. The Dispatch is only elevated by the voice cast. The protagonist Robert is voiced by Aaron Paul or Jesse Pinkman,
Heil Hitler, bitch!
and other notable voices like Laura Bailey from The Last of Us playing Abby, who plays Invisigal, Jacksepticeye as Punch Up, Moist Critical as Sonar,
God, I don't feel anything except cum.
Young Gravy as Gollum, and so many more amazing actresses and actors. Dispatch isn't a normal superhero game by any means. It's not like Spider-Man or the Arkham Knight. There isn't a complex combat system or an open world to go out to explore and discover, or a large skill tree to expand upon. Instead, Ad Hoc Studios leans more towards developing the characters and building a narrative that the player can really find themselves lost in. It follows the style of gaming that was shown from games from the Telltale series and The Wolf Among Us, and just builds upon mechanics that were shown in those games. One thing that I noticed immediately when I first started playing the game is how it really does look and feel like a TV show. It has strong performances from the voice actors, focused and paced scenes, and it has a very episodic structure of the game. Instead of it being a TV show, it keeps the player involved. You don't just watch the characters talk, you get to shape the dialogue, the relationships, and what is revealed and learned. The player has just enough control to stay involved without breaking the natural TV show flow that the studio has worked hard to create. You get to steer the conversations and decisions, and you get to see what happens in real time, creating the sense of cinematic immersion. Dispatch's gameplay is really simple. If you've played The Wolf Among Us or The Walking Dead games, you understand what I mean. You don't have to go out and explore through cities or collect trinkets to complete side missions. Instead, you just get to navigate through conversations, decision making, and watching the outcome of the story unfold in front of you. It's built around dialogue between characters, quick time responses, and interactive moments that keep you a part of the natural flow. Because of this, you get to stay focused on what matters most: the story, characters, and the consequences of your actions. Dispatch does a really good job of feeling real and natural. It doesn't just focus on one theme or one tone, just like our lives don't just focus on one thing. The characters joke, flirt, and have fun, but more than that, they have their own guilds, ambitions, and personal history. What makes it work so well is how naturally the game balances these two moods. It knows when it should lean into comedy, but it also knows when it should get serious without it feeling forced in any way. A part of the game I've really been enjoying so far is the soundtrack. The instrumentals do such a good job of elevating scenes to make them feel more tense, emotional, and dramatic and personal. Like, just check out this scene here.
You a good boy.
the folks at SDN are the best in the business, and we're striving to create a safer, stronger city every
I
single
met a nice lady.
The folks who have to
She wants to help us out.
Dispatch doesn't only use an original soundtrack, but they also use real songs. And the way they implement these into the soundtrack really feels reminiscent of Invincible in the best way possible. You'll see what I mean here.
Phenomenal.
I'ma show you how to make a pound cake!
One of Dispatch's strongest points and what has kept me hooked so far is the relationships. The characters are developed in a way that makes them feel real and lived in. They respond to your choices of dialogue in unique and different ways. They joke and argue, but they also have real emotional moments of opening up or having outbursts. Now, some characters have these moments more than others as they are focused more on the story, but I think each character still feels real. In the little gameplay loop, when you're dispatching, they have their own little quips and they fit into situations better, and it just makes them feel more natural into the story and world building. A mechanic that at times can be controversial in other games is the romance system. Dispatch gives you the opportunity to have a romance with Blonde Blazer or Invisigal, but it doesn't feel unnatural or forced in any way. The game doesn't really throw you into it, but it helps you naturally build chemistry with these characters through dialogue, shared scenes, and the choices that you end up making. Because it feels so natural, it really doesn't take anything away from the story. It really just adds to it, and it makes the character feel that much more connected to the narrative. Like every Telltale like game, choices and consequences are the main aspects of the gameplay loop. Every important piece of action and dialogue is up to you. As a player, you have the chance to create and shape relationships with the characters around you and really feel like you are also part of the story. There is no right answer, only about deciding who you want your character to be. And I think that's one of the most important parts in not just games, but in books, in cinema, in any piece of fiction. I think if it feels like you are a part of the story, not just as an audience member, but as a true part of the story, as a true character, and you're really able to get yourself immersed into what is going on, then I think that the studio, the author, the creator, whoever has done their job perfect. The player is given the opportunity to make choices and decisions that shape the story and the characters. Choices in dialogue can change the direction of a conversation, and a small decision early in the game may have a great effect on the outcome of a story arc later on. It's definitely one of those games that makes you want to go back and replay scenes just so you could figure out how things could have gone different. I find myself avoiding any video talking about Dispatch just because personally I want to go back and figure out what I could have done differently myself. Um, and I think that just highlights how personal some of these choices feel and how well this game has been thought out. One of the first scenes that really got me hooked right off the bat was in the first episode. After Robert loses his mecha suit and fails his family tradition of dying in the suit, he is forced to talk about the current standing of his superhero status and go to a press conference. Something about that scene and the responses that you're able to give just felt so real and natural to me. It didn't feel like I was playing a game, but like I was in the crowd listening to Robert getting all this criticism um, on his failures, I guess. Later on in the same episode, there's a moment where Blonde Blazer flies Robert into the city, and the colors and the world around him and the soundtrack especially blend together so well that makes the scene feel so cinematic and personal. And it felt like the perfect way to bring the first episode to an end. there's episode 6 from this last week, where the plot begins to speed up and pick up rather than slow down the way it does in episode 1. The scene that stuck with me the most was when Chase decides to sacrifice his life to save Invisigal from Shroud and the gas that is flooding the room. Chase, as Robert's mentor and father figure in his life, has aged rapidly because of his super speed abilities. But in a last act of heroism, he decides to save someone, Invisigal, which he really isn't fond of and doesn't really like her most, but because he knows it's the right thing to do. It was a sudden, surprising, and emotional moment that felt so real and natural. And I think that's the biggest main point that I've gone over, is how real and natural each moment of this game feels.
Where's my keys? Where's my fucking keys?
Hey, wake up! No, don't fucking do this, please. Please, Chase. Please.
I think it's moments like this that have layered meaning that make this game feel so well made. Over the last couple weeks and a handful of episodic release days, I've been following Robert Robertson and the Z team and have really grown to love the game. I was blown away with how cinematic each scene plays out and how seamless the gameplay loop feels. Each action, conversation, joke, and emotional moment feels real. In just 5.5 short hours of gameplay as Mecha Man, I feel like I've been able to form a real connection with the narrative that has been created, and by the end of the episode, I'm left wanting more. If in the past you've tried playing The Walking Dead, or any Telltale game, or The Wolf Among Us, or yada yada yada, and didn't find yourself really enjoying them, this game really might not be for you. It follows the same gameplay formula as those, but if you're a fan of those games, you'll really like this one. But regardless of the gameplay enjoyability, I can see Dispatch being a game that is really entertaining to just watch rather than play, but I think the full experience comes in making the important decisions yourself. Super excited and equally disappointed to see the conclusion of Dispatch and the ever awaited face off between Mecha Man and Shroud. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know down below if you guys are enjoying the game and if there's any more videos about the game that you want me to make. Thank you again for watching. Comment down below, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you again in the next video.